is always time to shine. Squatcher is always time to shine.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D TV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, October 6th, 2024. I'm your host, your guy, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host right down there, Mr. Chris Bennett. What's going on, Chris?
Good to see you, man. We've been having some nice weather down in Kentucky here lately. Sunshine, and I have missed it. But unfortunately, the grass realized that it had a lot of rain, so it's been growing. So,
yeah, that's true.
It's been a job trying to keep that stuff beat back.
Well, we had a beautiful fall day here in New York State in the mid-60s all day, real nice, sunny.
Yeah.
So perfect weather. You could walk around still. I mean, I know there's some parts of the country where you'll walk around. I mean, not Leon. Leon's up there in the Great White North up in Canada. But, you know, you walk around and, you know, you can walk around in 65-degree, shorts and a T-shirt around here.
Yeah.
You know, it's not cold yet.
You ain't no sissies.
That's right.
No. If it's above freezing in the wintertime, those guys are outside washing their cars in shorts and T-shirts.
Yeah.
And
You
of
can
course,
find us on
tonight's
the
guest.
beaches of Florida.
That's
Go ahead.
right.
Sorry.
And tonight's guest, we're going to have Leon on because we're going to be unwrapping some behavior. And we have this incredible, we talked a little bit about it on Friday night, about this incredible Bigfoot encounter. And we actually got permission from the gentleman to use his video. So we've edited out some things that we needed to edit out that would kind of point to who he is, because we want to respect his anonymity as best as we can. And, you know, thankfully, and he may even be lurking in chat tonight. So everybody, we want to be, you know, respectful, number one, and number two, we want to, you know, make sure. And of course, this audience is never a problem with that. And we want to be supportive because, you know, there's a lot going on, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's get to our ceremonial reading of the guest list here tonight in chat. And so I know there was some folks in. Jay Charlotte came in 11 hours early this morning to be first.
Wow.
So,
8:47 a.m., I reckon.
And then we also had popped in early as well is Yowie Sightings Australia. Welcome down under.
Good to see you.
Sasquatch crew, welcome. Don Gumow Jr., hello. Pete H., how are you? Pat Collins, good to see you, brother. Danny Weeks, Karen Fisher, how are you? Ristel, what's going on, brother? Sharon, she's in Libsyn, Portugal right now. So, hello, Sharon. So we are reaching around the globe tonight from Australia to Portugal. Cool. Angel Nolan, good to see you. Sandra Piper, hello. Who else? Jen, the boss, the bouncer. She's in the house. Hello. And hello to Jen's office assistant as well. Grasshopper, we're not going to forget you this week. Hello, Grasshopper. Traveling with Jim. Jim, good to see you, brother. Finding the Trackway. Bill, what's happening? Oh, there he is. Four Bandits. Good to see you, Four Bandits. Welcome.
I'm lost.
And Jack Norton. Hello, Jack. Good to see you. Roy Longley representing the lurkers. Make sure reminding all the lurkers to hit that like button.
Found it again.
Who else we got out of here? Batmom. The Batmom's in the house. Hello, Batmom.
Batmom?
Arthur Watts. Good to see you, Arthur. Is that John RD 463. Whoa, I actually made a live show, perpetual video
Welcome,
on demand
John.
watcher here. Hello, well, welcome.
Glad to have you
Welcome to
here.
the gaggle. Thomas Steenberg. That's right. Always the
Oh,
facts and never
Steenberg.
deviate them. Never deviate from them.
Great.
And
I
we got
I
the
saw a
suit.
great photo of him in one of Henry's videos. He had a picture of it was from a BBC magazine, I think, or a BBC article. Had a picture of Thomas Steenberg up there. That was a great pic, Tom. It looked good.
The Susie Monster. Hello, Susie Monster. She's in Boris Khan. Gorny Goo Goo. Hello, Boris Khan. Brian Wolf. The Wolf is in the house.
Brian?
From wolfbachradio.com. Great guy. Kaiju Ninja 1985.
Ninja.
Martin Stilts. Marty, good to see you, my friend.
Martin, welcome.
Mrs. Trackway Deb, what's going on? Mrs. Trackway in the house, and the Beatron in the house as well.
E-Tron.
Jay Fritz, hello, Jay.
Jay.
And, looks like the whole crew is in tonight.
I got lost and found about 3 times while you were going through that.
Brian McMahon, hello, Brian. Good to
Brian.
see you. Okay, I think I got everybody.
Jerry's in town.
Yes.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. Jerry, hello, Jerry. I know
Jerry,
you're out there
welcome.
lurking probably. Okay, so where do we start from this? Leon, you wanted to have a little preamble about, what this is about and what it's not about. So,
Well, just a little thing. I mean, whenever we do stuff like this, or whenever I do stuff like this, a lot of people, they in their brain, they kind of look at it as like a JoJo psychic thing. We're not doing a JoJo psychic thing. That is not what this is about. We're not here to, hit a certain part of your psychological brain that goes, "Oh my God, how would they know that? They must be, some kind of great people." No,
right.
And in most cases, I say, every time I say it, not just in most cases, is like a body language does not tell you whether a person's a liar or not liar. Time will tell you that about a person. Right. Body language helps you ask the right questions, and depending on how you use body language, and I use body language with clients to help them get their story, a narration, emotional narration to what has happened to them in a variety of situations. And kind of that's what we're doing tonight is we're going to take a look at, and Thomas has a great phrase. I remember he's saying this to Joe all the time before his passing. He said, we must sound crazy to you, Joe, because you experienced it. We didn't see it. And we're the kind of the unbelievers. Well, we're not really unbelievers about it, but the thing is you've seen it. So who are we to tell you didn't see it?
Right.
What we're trying to find out and help people who are, confused. And a lot of people get confused when they have a situation where you see something that you just can't explain. You don't have a box for it anywhere in your brain. So your brain tries to come up with all these things, including trying to make you think that you didn't actually see what you think you saw, because you don't want to remember what you saw if it was that traumatic for you. So, we're here to help. We're not here to point fingers and stuff.
And truthfully, when I watched this, this video, and I'm gonna preamble this with, and Chris watched it as well the other night, because after we talked about it, when you see something authentic after listening to so many, BSers over the years at times, and I'm not talking about necessarily in the Bigfoot world, but like I said, all these criminals that I put in front of me that are trying to lie their way out of things. When you see something that's authentic and real, and yeah, this guy is not pulling our leg. To me, that is a gem. It's a diamond in the rough, because we get so many BS stories over the years that we get kind of accustomed to that. And that's why it was really important to let's do a little bit of some body language stuff on this video at the same time, giving everybody a good look at this guy's story, and, where body language kind of reinforces what he's going through and what we believe he may be going through. Of course, I hope he's still out there watching and listening. We would love you to reach out after the show to me and give us your feelings and stuff like that, because we're going to try to maybe there's always a level when it's not in your wheelhouse. When a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot is not in your wheelhouse, to have an experience can be very traumatic and very earth shattering to some people.
Yeah.
So we want to kind of help that person through that as well. And that's really important. So, all
Well,
right.
if you look
We're,
at Jay's,
yeah,
I was just going to say, like with Jay's story, it took him like 40 years, 50 years to even find
yeah,
us so he could tell his story. And I think most of us have no problem with what he saw in regards to telling us the story. But holy smokes, he said 50 years, 40 years, and 50 years of having that in your head, not being able to know what to do with all that information because you don't even know what it is. That's
right,
it's
yeah.
a struggle, I'll tell you.
And the
Anyway,
video
sorry,
we got
Steve.
tonight, no. We got a video tonight. It's about it's a 30-minute long video. Of course, we're going to be starting stopping it at certain points to explain what we feel and see what's going on and see if people, the audience, recognizes what's going on. Because as part of our show, we like to educate people at the same time. So, and there's Matt from Central Florida, Bigfoot. Good to see you made it, brother.
This is gonna be a good one, Matt.
Yeah. So should we do the geographics first? So anyway, as we had found out, this guy, gentleman, had this experience, and one of the last videos he posted prior to his experience was this overlook shot, and that is going to be the area of where his vehicle was parked on a forest road on a forestry trail. And he parked there overnight, but we'll let him speak it out. But we just want to, people I know sometimes want to see the terrain, and there it is. So, now that
Was
we
that
got
like
that,
4 days ago, Steve, when this all happened? When you got
okay. So this happened last Saturday, a week ago Saturday. So it was on the 28th into the 29th of September. Strangely, I was in the field the 28th into the 29th. And one of the things that really reinforced it was that he was like, yeah, there was no moon. And yeah, I know. I was out on the 28th and 29th, and there was no moon out that night. Or if it was very late to come out. But I believe there was a new moon that night, or at a very late setting or an early setting one where, the night sky did not have this bright ball of light in the sky.
Right.
So it was darker than normal. And, that was kind of cool. And I know Matt has already reviewed the video once too. And, so anyway, we'll just let's get to it a little bit. We'll start now. Again, the importance here is that he explains, why he's doing this, what he's doing. And Leon, like I said, you just want to stop, just yell out, stop it for a second, and we'll stop it. But he's going to start off by explaining that he's going to do this video. He doesn't necessarily want to do it, but he feels compelled to do it. I think he's trying to wrap his head around it. And so this is a good opportunity as he's building up to the incident for us as interviewers to build the baseline of how his body language is and where his eyes go when he talks about stuff that there would be no reason to deviate from. So that's why we're going to put in this preamble and not just get right to the sighting. So here you go, folks.
Whether I even want to make this video and post it online to be the subject of ridicule, possibly. But I had something happen this past weekend that I just can't overlook. So I guess I will. So I decided to take a few days from work and take a trip up to Oregon from Los Angeles. This was on September 28th, 29th, 30th, and I wanted to take about a week to go up to Oregon and back, and driving all the way up there. And I wanted to take Highway 395 up through Bishop, Mammoth Lakes area.
Now, I just want to, one thing I noticed automatically is he's looking down a little bit and to his right automatically. And I think that's because he may have a computer monitor. I know he is fidgeting because you can hear it click once in a while. He has a flashlight and he's fidgeting with it. And that's the little flashlight. That's the clicking we hear. Or maybe he's got a pen there, but there's something clicking. So he's fidgeting with something in his right hand. So
going
Yeah,
up
I'll add
north
some.
towards Reno.
Yeah.
Hold that for a second too. I'll just add a bit more too. When a person is feeling guilty about something, untruth, if you talk to a toddler will always look down. but they have a very distinct look about them when they're looking down, as if they're trying to hide.
Yeah.
And then they'll come up. No, I didn't take the cookie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not what he's doing.
No.
I want you all, when you're watching this, is just watch what his baseline is. And when we're talking about baseline, what we're talking about is where his body goes when you're asked certain styles of questions. So you'll notice his eyes. If you were looking at him, like you guys at home, and I'm looking at him this way, you'll notice his right eye, when he was just talking there, went for just a few microseconds, because he's formulating in his mind, not in a negative way, but he's formulating a directional thing, because he's talking about where he's located. And then he goes to the right, our left, if you're viewing him. And when he's going to his left, and just keep an eye on his eyes. And as he goes through this, notice you catch yourself seeing that he is looking at something in his eyes mind.
Yeah.
You'll catch that as it goes on. It won't be quite yet, because right now what you're going to notice too is his blink rate gets to be fairly quick. That means he's processing. He's there, and that doesn't mean he's lying. It might mean that he's, if he saw something and he doesn't want to say anything, doesn't want to look like an idiot, that's going to cause some problem for him. I will not give excuses, by the way, for anybody who I do this body language for. It's just what we're seeing, and so that's all.
And it's a great point too, because how many people have I interrogated when I sit there and say, okay, so tell me, why did you take the money? And it's like they don't look down; their whole body shifts to where it goes right down.
Yeah.
Like what you're seeing is not a retreat. You're seeing like you're monitoring things, and that's what I think.
And I don't want to jump too far ahead, but you'll notice down on the road, down when he tells the story, he tries to shrink himself. I'll let him explain that whole thing. And that's the whole thing of I want to disappear, because it's too intimidating. Eyes on me is too intimidating.
Down
the road. So okay, go ahead, Steve.
All right.
Carson City, Klamath Falls, ended up in Mount Hood, in Mount Hood, Oregon, where I wanted to do some fly fishing up there, and then come back. I got as far as Bishop, White Mountains area by Bristlecone Pines, spending a night out there, and then coming back. I had something happen in the White Mountains up by Bristlecone Pines where I spent the night, and that is the subject of this video and the reason I came back. Having said that, this will probably be the last time that I ever go alone, spending the night out somewhere alone in the forest. And maybe you'll understand, maybe you won't. But here's the story. Going north on Highway 395, I got to Big Pine, the town of Big Pine. Just past Big Pine is the turnoff to go to Bristlecone Pines in the White Mountains. There's some campsites out there. There's some good areas for dispersed camping. And I wanted to do one of those where I wanted to just go out on a forestry road and find a campsite and just kind of be by myself. I drove 13 miles up from Big Pine to the turnoff towards Bristlecone Pines. And then from there, I went roughly about 5 miles up the road towards the Pines.
And again, the eyes up is just, he's just trying to remember. That's a recall kind of gesture that he's doing there.
Before finding a forestry road on the left-hand side of the road at an area that led me to a place called Keith's Point. Some of you may be familiar with the location, but it's a forestry road, and I forgot to write down the number of the forestry road, but it ends up at this place called Keith's Point, and then it kind of disperses out from there with different dirt roads that go in different directions. And after stopping at Keith's Point, I decided to go a few more miles in from there and just find a nice secluded spot and, where it'd be private and just be able to see all the stars, no lights, no campfires, and no people around to make noise and things like that. I found myself a nice spot and made dinner. Basically parked the car there or the SUV there and made dinner and set up my camp. I wanted to sleep inside the car, and I have a mattress that folds into 3 parts, and it's very nice to, makes it very comfortable to sleep inside the car. Didn't want to set up a tent and all that, and basically set myself up for the night. Everything went smoothly up until about 2 a.m. At about 2 a.m., I felt a bump on the car, and it was a distinct bump. I was sleeping, which that bump kind of woke me up, and it came from the front hood of the car. The front of the car was facing towards the sunrise, where I expected the sun to rise in the morning. So I set up a sun shade in between the front driver and passenger.
Now, what I love here too, Leon, is the body language is consistent with the story. And that's usually a big thing. A lot of times when people are fabricating stuff, they sit pretty rigid, or they don't say, "Oh, I did this, and then I went here, and I went over there," and then they you don't see that with a lot of people fabricating stuff. But he's very animated, and when he's talking about the sunshade, he talks about the sunshade. When he says, "Oh, the sun," and stuff like that, you see those arms move. So I think
Yep.
that's that's telling
And
me
you
he's yeah.
and what you're going to watch coming up here is he's going to start talking about watching a sunset, and he'll say, "You watch the sunset go across the horizon." As soon as he says that, look at his eyes. You can see him go right in his memory. His eyes go like this, sunset.
Yep.
You're seeing that a bit here too.
Yep.
I was going to ask a question, Steve. Did you do the editing for this video, or did he do?
No, that was his editing. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was just kind of curious
Yeah.
about that. The other thing I just want to point out to you too is this is not reversed. He's straight on to us. In other words, this isn't backwards. You can tell by his T-shirt, stuff like that. Some of the stuff on the wall as well to let you know that. He's also using his left arm. When someone's using, at least in my experience, if someone's using their left arm to express something, that's usually telling you that what they're telling you is actually happening.
Right.
They're using their right arm or both their arms. They can be trying to win you or woo you over, basically. Certain candidates do that kind of thing. We won't get into the politics. Anyways, just point that out. Go ahead.
And Thomas had a question real quick too. Is that Leon, would a witness react to a computer screen as he would when talking face to face with an interviewer? I don't think so.
No, it really depends. Like the problem with you guys and me right now is this is all backwards in our mind. So when I'm telling you, if you're looking left, like a lot of times if you had a taking body language, they'll show you a picture of a person's face, and they'll have arrows pointing this way, that way for their eyes, either this way or that way, or this way or that way, or this way or that way. And you have to remember that everything's going to be reversed to you. So because I'm talking from my side, not from his side, but it's from his side that we're trying to look for. So.
And as an interviewer too, you're looking at a person reversed anyway. It's their face to face with you. So if they move to your left, basically stage left is actually the right hand side. Stage right, and I don't know if people understand that, but stage left is actually the right. And what it is it's how you're perceiving it. So stage left is on the left side of where you're looking at. Stage right.
That's the weird thing about cameras. Sometimes people that has their image on screen, it's reversed. So I'm holding up my left hand, and of course, obviously, you guys look at me and that's my left hand. But some guys reverse their camera angle, and so they hold up that hand, and that's actually their right hand.
So what you want to do is you want to first look for if he's got a ring on his finger, a wedding ring, because that's going to tell you what hands up. The other thing you want to do is like what I did with this video too, is not to mention you want to count his blink rates, because that can tell you some very important things. But also his T-shirt is not this way, because that's backwards if you're watching me, but it's the correct way if you were reading English on his shirt. So that's another way of doing it. Plus the way a guy's collar buttons are different and stuff like that. But I also just want to do a little bit of a point out here too, is you'll notice he does his face sometimes like this. You'll notice he's using the correct hand for the location. He's not going across like this. He's not going like this. There's one incident you'll see him go like this, and we'll talk about that when he does it. But most cases, you're using the same hand. You're looking for the stuff. Body language is like dating. It's not what they're telling you on the first and second, third date. It's what they're not telling you that you're looking for. And so when you're looking for a person's body language, you're looking for the abnormalities of, well, why would he go over here to scratch over here to scratch when he could have just went like this and scratched?
Yeah.
Because that would be more natural, right? But it's like if you have a little kid, I'll shut up after this little moment.
I'm going to scratch my neck.
You
I'm
see
not
a
gonna
little
go.
kid and he's trying to do his schoolwork and he's scratching his head like this or he's scratching his head like that. Which of these tells you that he can get through the problem, and which of these tells you he can't get through the problem? This
Yep.
is going to tell you, I can't figure this out, Mom. This is tough, but I think I can figure it out. So you let him figure it out, and that's how the brain works.
Yep.
It's all primal. Primal meaning automatic. You're not thinking about it. You're just doing it. So
All right, here we go.
go ahead.
area and the back where I was sleeping, so that the sun wouldn't be hitting me all morning as soon as I didn't want to wake up at ass crack of dawn to start going. So I put a shade up there to keep the sun out of my eyes so I can sleep in. So with that sunshade in place, I wasn't able to see what bumped the hood of the car, but it was enough of a bump that it woke me up. I did hang up all the food that I had with me, and I had quite a bit of food. I put it in Milwaukee packouts and boxes, and I hung it from trees.
Go ahead, Leon. What do you want?
Okay, there's something there. Notice he went like this, and then he went like this. This
Right.
is a comfort. It's kind of like you're patting yourself down. So,
But he is
I think-
confused.
well, I'm not sure if he's confused or whether or not he feels like, oh,
Well,
maybe
I
didn't
you know what?
quite-
You,
I didn't
you
do
know,
that. The safety thing I shouldn't have done.
I may
That's
be
what was-
wrong, but you know what? I think when he's talking, hey, listen, in his mind, what I think is going on, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, if he's out
Yeah,
there,
totally. Yeah,
um,
totally.
is I think the reason why he scratches his head is because he can't figure out why this thing showed up at the truck and not bothered his stuff that's hung up. He goes, I hung up the food. If it was going to bother anything, I don't know why it didn't bother the food. Why is it bothering me? I think that's part
Well,
of it.
I would maybe flip that around a bit, and I'm not saying this is what it is. I think and again, it'd be great if we could talk to him eventually if he wants to do that. That'd be
Right.
cool. Is because it's when we talk about body language and it's primal, meaning that you're not aware of you're doing it. He could have had a thought in his head for about 50 seconds, less than 50 seconds, 5 seconds, that said, "Is it because of that damn food?
Yeah, that could be too.
Is
Yeah.
it because of that damn food?
Did I leave that
Should I
out there?
put the
'cause of
food higher? Is there something?" Because if he doesn't know what's happened, that's where your brain goes. Your brain, unfortunately, 100 to 1 is always trying to figure out, well, what was the bad part of it and stuff like that.
Yep.
I think he was, what's that say? What did Thomas say?
He says, I think he has a strong need to get what he has to say out.
Well,
That's-
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a question. That was a question like I had. Could it be like he's doing a little self-soothing there to preempt, because he's like, well, here we go.
You're getting closer to that story. Yeah,
I'm
that's
going,
true,
yeah,
sir.
I'm going to tell it.
Yeah.
And that's what it seemed to me. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
On
Remember,
rope.
this is like a
So
week ago.
it was away from wildlife, and it definitely wasn't on the hood of my car, and I definitely didn't have any food inside the car. So any food that any wild animal might have wanted would have been in the trees, not on the car. So I tried to peek around the sunshade that I had placed in between the passenger and the rear of the.
I think the howler, I'm just the howler made it. Now I know why he didn't want to tell a story. LOL. No, we completely believe with his story. Absolutely. It has nothing to do. We're showing body language. Of course, if you came in late and you missed the pretense of it, there we go. Chris is right. Chris is right. There we go. There we got the answer. Yep. Good job, Chris.
Oh, here we go.
No, if any the howler actually we are very much in support of what this story here. We're actually trying to show body language that is truthful
Right.
rather than deceitful, that we've shown time and time again. You folks know a lot of you guys out there that have followed the show for years know that what deceptive body language looks like. This is a case where we can actually show what an authentic case looks like, and that's
Oh,
awesome.
when I saw the Bigfoot, I felt love. Stuff like that.
Wow, wow. All right, back to the video. Sorry, I had to cut in there because I saw that comment.
SUV,
Nice.
but it was too dark. It was a perfect night to see all the stars, Milky Way, and everything. So it was a pretty dark night. You couldn't really see very far, and I definitely didn't see anything around the vehicle in the darkness. So I chalked it up to my imagination, possibly. I thought maybe it was just in my dream, and turned over and went back to sleep. I didn't get a chance to fall back asleep. A couple of minutes later, there was a distinct bump again from the hood of the car, at which point now I was awake. So it was definitely something that wasn't in my dream. And I have this flashlight. I had this flashlight with me in the car, and I put the light basically onto the hood of the car, and I didn't see anything. And so I thought maybe something fell on the car, or maybe a pine cone or something, and that might have caused it. So I kind of again rolled over and just went back to sleep for about a couple more minutes, about 2 more minutes, at which point I felt the car being rocked back and forth like this. It just went woof, woof, like that from the side this time. And it was...
And I gotta say this too. I mean, if this was somebody pulling her leg, it would have been much more dramatic. And oh, it's rocking the car. No, it just went boop. And again, the hand motion, and you can see the whole mental process going on in his mind, trying to figure out like what's happening here. And I think that's really, really cool.
Basically from the window area that was to my right here.
And his eyes going side to side. You can see he's kind of reliving this whole thing.
So like my head is towards the driver section, my legs are towards the back door, the swing up door, and I had a window here and obviously a window on both sides of me, and I felt the car rocking from this side of me, just like this. My first thought was that there's a bear out there. For sure, there's a bear outside, and he's put the paws on the car and is rocking it. I've seen videos and things like that, and I actually saw in person when we went camping once, and in Yellowstone actually, and we saw a bear that
keeps fiddling with that light,
car just like that, where he kind of put his paws up on the side of the car and rocked it like that, and the car distinctly moved back and forth. And I thought, okay, there's a bear outside. That was my first instinct. And, I immediately grabbed the weapon and was prepared in case the bear broke the window and tried to make his way inside. At least I could.
Yes, just stop that for a second. You'll notice if you play the video back after we're online, and you guys can do it back and forth all you want. But that's the third time he thought it was a bear, and every time he said it's a bear, his eyebrows go up.
Yeah.
And then the last time when he says about the gun, I had to get a gun, his eyebrows go up, then he says, I have to get a gun. So you can tell that is definitely a memory that he's reliving as far as the experience he's talking about. When anybody starts their eyebrows going up there, it's usually telling they're surprised. They're surprised, or they're surprised, but not. He's not freaking out, but he's definitely aware. So I agree that he probably has been in the bush enough. So go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, we can rewind it a little bit here, and let's go back to.
Bear outside. That was my first instinct.
There,
and I immediately grabbed the weapon and was prepared in case the bear broke the window and tried to make his way inside. At least I could slash the paws, and I don't know. Obviously, I probably would piss him off more than anything else if I did that. But anyway, a least amount of preparation. I was armed beyond the knife, but don't want to get into that right now. But so, like I said, my first instinct is that I'm dealing with a bear situation at this moment. Now, I've camped throughout my life. I've had bears in camp where a bear came close to us when we were eating food at a table, and we chased it away. I had a bear come up to my tent and poke his nose in the side of the tent.
Tom Steenberg asked, why do you think he's continually looking down to his lower right? Well, I
Yeah, we
already
talked
said
about
I
that.
believe that he's got, his computer screen is down there. So one of the other things too, I think he's looking at himself in the camera a bit, because that
Yeah.
happens as well. When you have yourself on camera, you're constantly looking over to recheck yourself
Right.
when you're doing a video. I think that's part of it. I think he's fiddling with something there too, and I think that part of that is trying to soothe him a bit as well. And he may have some notes written down as well.
There's a reflection on the piece of furniture. I thought it might have been a TV or something, but I think it's like a book stand or something, has a glass window in it,
Yeah.
and you can see the reflection that'll be to his right of some sort of light source there, which may be a computer monitor. He may be looking at himself while he's recording it.
Well, I would suggest if you guys check out what is that channel I'm always talking about for body language? Brain glitch.
Behavior panel.
Thank you. Check out the behavior panel. If someone's looking down to the right, they're there back in the activity. It's not the same as looking down in shame. Down in shame is down here. Looking to the right it's kind of like you have your own TV screen from your head down here, because you're replaying everything that's going on. When he goes to his left, or sorry, this way with his eyes, he's doing narration. You'll notice that again when he talks about directions and stuff. He's just putting stuff together. But when he's going to the right, it's what he's thinking about the idea, what he sees about the idea when he goes down to the right, the way he's doing it. And that's all you're seeing there. I don't think he's looking at a monitor or anything. That I actually think like it should be coming up here fairly quick, where you'll notice his eyes. And once that eye shift happens to him, where you can see him right back in the event. And it's not the actual event, it's part of the event, but you can see it, at least I can see it, where his eyes shift even more. He's there, like he's not making this up. He's not accumulating an idea and a story to share the idea. He's actually seeing the idea, narrating it, right? That's what he's doing right.
It's his flashlight in his right hand. That's what he keeps looking down at.
Maybe.
No, definitely. That's the answer. He's actually answering some of our questions out there. So
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's that.
So thank you for it, Bandits. We appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, totally.
And
Go ahead.
Howler says, Howler says he has a guy telling us his story too. I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's Michael.
Okay, so let's back up a little. We don't need to back up that much. Let's go back to right about here. There we go.
Chased it away. I had a bear come up to my tent and poke his nose in the side of the tent. And, as freaky as that can be, I didn't go into panic mode or anything. Like I said, I've had bears in camp before, is what I'm trying to say. So it didn't exactly freak me out to have a bear outside. Obviously, it's not a safe situation to have a bear in camp, but I was inside of a vehicle, so I wasn't exactly terrified of having a bear in the camp, even if I was by myself. And like I said, if push came to shove, I had a means of neutralizing the bear if I needed to, but that wasn't something that I was looking forward to. However, I didn't really get that opportunity, so here we go. So as I said,
right there.
Yeah, now here it is. It's like, God, here I go. I don't know if I want to do this or not. Here it is.
Right
Yeah. I think we're all on the same page with that one. It's like a little bit of self-soothing there. Here we go.
at the beginning of this video, I'm hesitant to put this out into the world because,
And he even admits it.
this subject matter tends to be ridiculed, not necessarily as much as it used to be, with all the YouTube videos out there and all the testimonies, but it still does tend to have a certain amount of people that don't believe you, and so I'm putting that out there and prefacing this with that. So I took this flashlight and I thought maybe I'll scare the bear with a light. You can scare bears with a light or noise and things like that. So I put this light on full beam and turned it on, basically, shining it out the window directly out the window like this, and basically with the intention of blinding the animal, whatever was out there, putting it into his face and just scaring it away, hopefully, without any further incident. And well, okay, so
Yeah, he's like
Catch that?
coming to grips with this. Coming to grips
Yeah.
with this. Like,
How do I say it?
well, here I go.
what I saw wasn't a bear. What I saw was my whole entire window, the entire section of the window, which is probably about 2 feet wide, I guess. The entire section of the window was filled with gray fur, gray and white mixed together, but gray fur. The hairs were long like that, but was the terrifying part, and I don't know if I want to say terrifying, but I guess it kind of was.
Now, we've talked about this, that in looking at his channel, looking at some of the background, he doesn't want to admit he's terrified. And that, I mean, it's a big thing to admit that, that, hey, I was terrified of this thing. I wasn't expecting to see this, and there it is. We all get that. Yep.
Yeah, you've got a rough, tough, big guy. This is not some girly man, okay? This is a tough guy, and he's probably experienced something and felt something that he's rarely experienced. And that was something that was scary enough to scare him.
Yep. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We can be
That's
scared.
exactly
We can
right.
be, despite, there's nothing that scares me.
Yeah.
There's always
Until it
something
does.
going. Yeah. And until you have a propane truck blow up, like, a couple 100 feet away, that scares shit out of me.
Right.
I may not say it would scare me, but it'd scare me.
Was that there was a hand, imagine my hand being furry, completely covered in fur here, but about maybe 3 times the size of my hand. And I don't have a small hand. I don't know if you see next to my hand, my head. I don't have a small hand, but imagine it being about 3 times this size, like that, hanging down in front of the fur. So the fur is back here, and then this hand is kind of just like this in front of the window, and distinctly seeing fingers, not claws, fingers covered in fur. Like I said, about 3 times the size of my hand. And I put the light on that, and then as soon as I saw that, instantly I shut it back off. To say that it was a scary moment is to minimize the whole thing. It was more than scary at that moment. The image that I was seeing, the processing of the image that I was seeing slowly started to creep in at that moment. So
Now, that's something I've talked about in my book considerably a lot, is that is the time, why people may have regressive memories, why people think it may disappear on them, why people, because it takes, for somebody that a Bigfoot is not in your wheelhouse, the mind has no catalog on it. So now that it's seeing it for the first time, there is this momentary pause in your mind that happens, that like, what am I looking at here? It's kind of like looking at something you can't make out in the distance, and then it takes a little while. Oh, okay, it's that. Well, that's what's going on in his mind at this time. So I talk a lot about, like I said, talking to a lot of legit witnesses over the years, or people that are in circumstances necessarily that they can't understand, and it takes time to them to process it. Is exactly what he's describing here.
So again, I stayed there with the light like this. I didn't reach for anything else. It wasn't that kind of a. It was a freezing moment. So like you freeze. I pretty much just did this. I put the light on the thing, and I immediately shut it off. And I was pressing the button because this has settings where it does this bit. So it dims and then starts to flash. So it's not just an on-off thing. And I was literally terrified that this thing would be attracted by these lights, by what I was doing. It didn't move. It just, the whole image just remained still the way it was. But eventually I did shut off the light completely and we went back to kind of darkness.
From what it appears, he is saying he saw the back of the hand because it was a hand card. So it may have pushed it and then it's standing there, and actually the way it's looking at was that the hands may have been at rest. So that's how tall this thing up or high or tall it was. And he'll describe that a little bit more.
I think it's important to mention too that if you see or you have an experience and it's that close, you are within a couple, 2 or 3 feet, you're going to have fear, and that's completely normal.
Yeah.
And to the point where you'll feel like a cold spot in the chest fear.
Yeah.
And that's completely normal.
Yep.
My eyes were somewhat adjusted to the darkness, so I could still see the outlines of things, but nothing was clear anymore because there was no more real light to shine on whatever was out there. But again, the information started to process in my head, and it slowly dawned on me that what was out there was incredibly tall. If I'm standing next to my car, next to my SUV, I have a Mazda CX-5.
And Thomas, that answers your question about what time of, it's a Mazda CX-5. So there's your vehicle that we're talking about.
SUV. If I stand next to the SUV, my shoulder is up against the upper section of the top of the car. Okay.
And he is 6'1", just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
My head here would be on the top of the car. Okay, this would be the top of the car. If I let my arm dangle on my side, right, at my side, it would be down to about maybe the middle of the door, maybe less than that, maybe lower than that. I'm just not that tall. I'm 6'1", so I'm not short. I'm 6'1", but I'm not tall enough to have my hand be in the middle to upper section of the window. My hand would be much, much lower because of my height. So it dawned on me that this creature that was outside my car had to be twice the height of my car, roughly. If you dangle your arm next to you, it'll be around your hip area is where your hand would end up if it's hanging down, around your hip area, which is what this creature, this animal had. His arm was hanging down. And so the next thought that creeped into my head was the fact that let me get oriented here, to my back, right over here, just behind me right here, I have a sunroof on the car. And the shade from the sunroof was pulled back so that I could look at the stars when I was trying to get some sleep. And it dawned on me.
The body language here of him just recreating everything that's going on is like when you have somebody that's deceptive, you don't see this type of, looking around and body language. Everything he is doing is consistent with the story he's telling. Like when he means something in negative, he's shaking his head no. When he's saying something to the positive, he's shaking his head yes. And so all of these consistencies are just even more to the truthfulness of this. A lot of times,
I was just going to say he's not doing what we call the dance,
right?
And that's what you're talking about. Is if you have energy that's deceptive, you have the energy in your body, and that has to go somewhere. Your fingers tapping, your hands tapping on something, your legs shaking, something's happening. He's not licking his lips either. when they give you water at an interrogation, hey, would you like some water? Yeah, sure. What they're waiting to see is whether or not you're going to drink the water or not. Because if you're, and the Chinese used to do this with rice, they would throw dry rice in your mouth a couple thousand years ago, and if the rice was still normal, they knew you were lying because your mouth dries up. And so he's not doing any of that. I want to point out a couple of things too, which is he hasn't coughed once. Because a lot of times when people are telling a story, you'll hear them go, and then keep telling the story because they're trying to buy themselves some time. Not in all cases. They might have something in the throat, but he's not doing that at all. The other thing is his blink rate is his baseline at his baseline level when he's talking like that. And if you want to check that out, you could just do a count right now for the next 60 seconds. And then when he talks about stuff in the future coming up on the video about just normal stuff that has nothing to do with Sasquatch or this topic, he'll have the same, roughly same blink rate. So
well, Leon, I'm getting the impression from him that as he's telling us this, he's actually reliving this experience.
Well, you can see in this, like right here, you can see, look at his eyes right here.
Yeah.
That is what he's trying to do subconsciously, whether he is aware of it or not, is his brain is trying to help him make sense of what he's experiencing. Now, if he was conning, say he was a con artist, and he was trying to do that with us, he would be checking in with us, counter dependency or this toddler. You know, they check in with you. They make, you know what I'm talking about?
This really happened. This really happened. Eyes would be up. The brow would be all furled up and wrinkled up. They're like, and that goes
to anybody of anything. Right. He's just trying to process his story. That's what he's trying
to do. That goes back to our childhood too. You know, I didn't steal the cookie. Really, I didn't. Yeah. And you don't see any of that behavior going on here. This is all
the cookies. That's why you're so fat.
Hey, speak for yourself.
Anyway, back
at that moment, that whatever this fucking creature was over here.
Hear that?
Yeah.
Was standing over the vehicle.
Yeah.
We still not use the B word here.
No. But distancing, that's safety. That's what that is. I know what this creature is, but I don't like it. That's what he said.
Yeah, and actually, Thomas says his memory is recent as well. Yeah, when he did this video, it was only like maybe 4 days after it had occurred. So when he cut this video, it came out midweek, and it was like a couple of days after the Whitehall thing. So you figure by the time he got back Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, I think the video was either cut on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So you figure it's only been a couple of days.
And looking at everything that I was doing from above me through the sunroof. And it dawned on me.
I'm gonna rewind that a little
at
bit.
That moment.
Yeah. Watch his eyebrows.
Whatever this fucking creature was over here.
They went up just before he said that. Watch it again.
Was standing over the vehicle and looking at everything that I was doing.
And that was $1 million micro expression there too with his mouth. Watch when he says that again. It's priceless, and it's like, wow, this guy's telling us exactly what's on his mind.
And the shade from the sunroof was pulled back.
Oops, sorry.
And looking at everything that I was doing.
Hang on.
So that I could look at the stars when I was trying to get some sleep. And it dawned on me at that moment that...
Watch his lips when he says...
Whatever this fucking creature was over here was standing over the vehicle and looking at everything that I was doing from above me through the sunroof. And when that dawned on me, I immediately had this kind of a reaction where I went like this. Like I lowered my head a little bit because the thought of whatever was outside there was looking at me right through above this portion right here, right behind me. That was terrifying. That was a kind of a scary thought. And I'm 6'1". I'm 260 pounds, man. I'm not light and I'm not short. I'm a pretty big guy, and I can take care of myself in most situations. I don't fear men. I don't, you know, I don't want to say I don't fear animals, but I don't fear that many animals.
And now comes the part, and Chris and I talked about this. It's almost like he's kind of showing a lot of guilt signs at feeling terrified. And he shouldn't be. Let me just say that because he's out there. You shouldn't be
No,
having any guilt of that.
no.
But
There's no shame in
Right.
being frightened by one of these creatures because
no,
that's not normal. Okay.
not at that distance either.
Right.
You know, and the big kicker here too is it's the personality type. He's a big guy, tough guy,
Yes.
and something just scared the heck out of him, and he's coming to grips with that as well.
Yeah, he's not used to that.
Yep.
Hold the
So,
video there for a sec.
I'm
Hold the video for. That thing he's not doing is he didn't pierce his lips and he didn't do this.
Yep.
Which is hiding. I think this part is where he tries to talk about getting smaller. And if you'd ever deal with body language deception, a lot of times people will get their body will get smaller. They'll sit with their hands by their inside their lap, or they'll cross their legs, or because they're trying to get smaller because they don't want to be exposed. But he's doing it in the healthy way, not the dysfunctional trying to get out of being looked at. He's literally trying to be. It's like when you're out hunting and you're walking to a bear, you shrink below that log. Hopefully he doesn't see you. And that's kind of what you'll see here coming up here, I think, too. I mean, again, look at his eyes. He is not here. He is there processing. That's what that look is right there. I'm trying to make sense of something here. And it's probably been very helpful for him to do up his own video that he did. So kudos for that. So whether he ever shows it again.
And as far as when he was looking at it up there and he kind of shrunk down, that was the turtling. He's like, even in the video, he's turtling, when he was thinking of that.
Well, the realization.
And Nikki says, "Great, I'm never going out again."
But the realization that this thing is right outside his window and it is that tall and that big. And then, first of all, he's concentrating on that. And then as he processes this, he realizes, oh my God, the sunroof is up there, that it's got to be, this thing is looking down at me through the sunroof. I guarantee that's what it's doing. And so,
yeah. And another thing too is that you do not see in this is that the tone of this is kind of changed. I mean, he kind of chuckled about the first thing. He's I thought maybe it was a pine cone. I think that was self-reflective of like, yeah, boy, did I get fooled. But usually at this point, when you see deception and they'll kind of get smirkish. And you don't see any of that behavior here. In fact, you see behavior just the opposite. You see him kind of looking disgusted, at himself, for getting terrified or getting scared. You see these behaviors of confusion. And, if you look at that face, look at a person that's very confused. That is the look of confusion personified. His eyebrows are down. He's looking off to the right, which means he's trying to figure out, trying to process this. And his mouth is open, like, and that's what happens when somebody shows surprise, is that their mouth is open. So Leon, how about you?
His narration that he's doing too that's what you're looking at right there. He's looking and he's doing a narration. He's not doing a storytelling event.
Yeah, right.
Like because if his eyes would be different as he's looking for the next part of the story. He already has the story, and that's what he's sharing. He's just telling the story. He's not like, again, this guy, he hasn't showed stuff that you would normally be seeing with people who are trying to be deceptive and stuff. I don't know him that well.
Mike's Nikki say, well, Nikki said this was terrifying. I remember going out again. And then she says, I have a sunroof too. And then Mike Stetton again said, this is terrifying. A monster towering you over a couple of feet away. And the fear and awe is written all over him. Absolutely. and
I mean,
rightfully so.
it goes from bad to worse. Like, okay, this thing is outside my window, but also now let's add a sunroof that it can be looking down at me. That's,
Or,
that's just,
or just think of the thought that, good God, this thing could reach in and
yeah, yes.
yank me right out of the car. That's why when out camping, make sure you draw that little blind that's over the.
At this point, I'm going to be chewing on the nitro tablets. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be eating the whole thing. All right, let's go.
I don't scare easily, in other words. And this particular moment in time, I can easily say was probably the scariest, most terrifying moment of my adult life, I want to say. Mostly because I was alone. I was far away from civilization. Like I said, I had driven 13 miles up from Big Pine and another about 5 miles in from there to the turnoff of the road, and then another maybe 3-4 miles maybe in from the main road into this dirt road into the wilderness.
I just wanted to address one quick question. Nick asked, was the sunroof open? No, but the shade was pulled back on the sunroof. So, sunroofs, you have two different types: moonroofs, which do not slide open, and then you have the sunroof. And on the sunroof, you usually have a shade that's either you can manually or electronically move the barrier. So if you're driving and the sun's pounding down on you, you want to block that sun, and it usually has a shade on it you can pull forward, so you're not having the sun beat down on you while you're driving. Some people like keeping it open. Some people like keeping it closed, but he had kept it open, the shade portion open, so he could look out and look at the stars. But yeah, I wouldn't keep my sunroof open at night anyway, because you get bugs and flies and stuff like that that'll wander in throughout the night.
Steve, could you
Yes,
just
sir.
rewind that just a little bit for me?
Yep.
Not too far back. Just I can't remember the spot. I just want to see it farther back.
And 13 miles up from Big Pine and another about 5 miles in from there to the turnoff of the road, and then another maybe 3-4 miles maybe in from the main road into this dirt road into the wilderness, past Keith's Point. So I wasn't anywhere near like civilized man. I wasn't anywhere near help. There were no people around. There was nothing, just me and this creature. And this creature that could absolutely get into that car if he wanted to. Absolutely. He could have easily smashed that window in and smashed the top of the car in or whatever, the sunroof in, probably taking me by the top of the head and just yank me out of there. It was literally that enormous, that big of a.
Hey, listen, I know, my friend, you're out there listening. You don't have to worry about it grabbing your head. It's got no traction, just like me, no traction. Just like Chris, no traction.
That was the thing, see, I get confused about a sunroof. We call, if it's a sunroof, like you crank it open and you can stick your arm outside the car. Okay.
Right.
But we call a moonroof here in Kentucky. It's got like a shade. You can scroll it back and there's glass up there.
Well, yeah. Well, the difference between a sunroof and a moonroof is a sunroof you can open. A moonroof you cannot open. It's static.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a tech. Why? Because I had a car with a moonroof.
So I'm wondering if he's got a sunroof, I wonder if it's open to the air, like,
I do not believe so. Because he had said that he had just pulled the shade back.
Because if I had my sunroof open and you could actually reach out of the car or in the car,
right.
Okay, they would have found me dead the next morning. Okay, already, because I would have had a heart attack.
I'm not.
Absolutely.
He talks about pulling the shade back on the sunroof. He doesn't talk about opening it. So,
right.
But then again, like he said, he goes, that thing could just break through the glass and pull you through, and that's what he's afraid of.
Exactly. Yeah. What are you going to do to stop it?
Okay. Actually, he's been working on this now. He says later measurement on Google Earth shows the location around 8,000 feet in from the main road on a dirt road. I feel I need to correct that for accuracy.
Yeah. Great.
Yep.
Great.
There you
Awesome.
go. And Tom Steenberg, or I was noticing the fine collection of chrome domes on the show tonight. Yes.
Tom, we're saving
there
the
is.
world from excessive detergent.
Okay. It was a sunroof closed, shade open.
Ah, okay.
There you
go. Oh man.
And one of our and Jay Fritz, who is a Bigfoot witness himself, asked, "Is this the gentleman's deed?" Yes, it is. We'll So I appreciate him answering some of our questions in the chat
Awesome.
tonight.
Thank you so
Again,
much. Yes.
We applaud your
Absolutely.
bravery. And everybody here says you were very brave coming forward for this.
Yeah.
So okay, let's press on. And
of a creature, and that thought was incredibly terrifying. I keep using that word, but that's pretty much what it was. It was in the pit of your stomach. You feel that, where you think that at any moment glass is going to smash and crash in upon you, and you're going to die, possibly. So that's what happened. And I didn't turn on the light anymore.
I don't blame you.
Too worried that would start something, so I didn't do that.
I said this once. I'll say it again. There are times, it's okay to be afraid of the dark. You don't want to be afraid of the light too.
I definitely didn't try to look up. Thoughts went through your head to creep your eyes up and look up to see what's up there. I definitely didn't do that. Again, I thought for a moment that, eye contact with a wild animal might start the protection, the self-protective mode or something, or, aggressive mode. And that's something that I definitely didn't want to instigate. So I didn't do that. I basically just did one of these, like, I try to make myself as small as I could inside my own car. And I just lowered myself and did this kind of a thing. I don't know if you can imagine that. And that was pretty much it. There was nothing aggressive happened. The glass didn't smash. The car didn't get damaged anymore. But I did see that this thing moved away. It kind of just drifted away slowly. Eventually, I don't know how long I don't know how long he looked at me. I have no idea how. I don't even know if he did look at me. That's just what I'm imagining that happened because of the positioning of the creature outside the car. And I have no idea how long I stayed like that and how long this incident occurred, how long it took place.
Leon, what do you think's going on there?
Oh, I mean, you're muted, Leon.
You mean where his hand is and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Well, parts of it is brushing it away. He's trying to brush something away, like awkwardness to him. I think the guy, honestly, I hope he would feel comfortable with maybe not even be online with us, but help us or be actually interested in coming online with us, because I have a lot of questions. Like, are you sleeping okay? That'd be one of my first questions.
Right.
Because if he's using distancing language, like he calls it this thing, or the other word he uses, he doesn't call it that's what I appreciate about it.
Yeah. For Bandits, you're out there. I know you're out there listening. If you want to come on with us after the show, because I know you're kind of shy talking to the whole contingent and going on worldwide. Yeah. But if you just want to talk with us three after the show, while we play some more of your video, I can email you a link to get into our little video chat here. So if you want us to do that, just throw us a yeppers in the chat, and I'll get that email out to you. How about that?
Yeah, and it might be a little awkward for you soon yet, so feel free to you don't have to do that either. But if you want to down the road, that would be good because
Yeah.
the problem is you'll be like Jay, who's been in the chat right now too, where it took him a long time to find the right people to actually get it out, the story out, and that's 99% of helping your brain out a bit to let go of it. Because I have hunters that they won't even go back into their sites anymore, and it's not that they don't want to go back out there, but they just can't go out there by themselves. They're saying, can you come out with us, Leon? And it's like,
and there's nothing more satisfying for like one of us to help somebody that's been through this experience, that's having trouble necessarily coping, even if it's just a little bit of a problem coping with it. We're really, like we've had Dave Groves on the show, and that was a guy who didn't want to talk about it. And I actually kind of got him to come up on stage with me. I said, nobody's going to make fun of you. I'm right here. And he's all right, I'll do it. And he got up there and he felt so good. And after that point, he began to talk about that a little bit more with people, which was good. It helped him get past it. And that's, some of the.
I think it's important to know that, he's among people that do not view him as a victim of his imagination.
Correct.
We understand what's going on here. And I completely sympathize with you. It's not a happy thing to happen to you.
Yep. We love you, Jay.
Yeah, what did he say there? I had my thing on. I couldn't read what he said.
These guys really helped me through my ex.
Thanks, Jay. Okay.
Nick says, I don't think I'll be changing my flat tires in dark remote forested areas again. I get creeped out.
That's when you have to do it. That's when you're going to see it, is when that happens. That's when you keep your camera going, right, Thomas?
Just drive on the rim, Nick. Drive on the rim.
That actually happened to me once. We were coming back from an investigation, and I was with one of my field guys, Ted, and he actually was a human resource manager for a BMW dealership. And so he had this nice new BMW SUV, and wouldn't you know, he got 2 flat tires on the way back. And here we are in the middle of nowhere. Like, but we managed to get the tires. They were slow leak. So we managed to get the tires inflated to where we could get it to someplace where we could handle it. But I remember doing the video there. You just hear me go, yep. Here we are, flat tire. You hear poor Ted swearing up a storm in the background that I had to beep, beep, beep. And, yep, haven't seen a car now in about 20 minutes. But anyway, we'll get back on.
Yeah.
My mind just wasn't functioning. It stopped functioning. I don't know if how many of you have been in that kind of a situation. I've been in situations that I thought were dangerous before, and I realized that they were not as dangerous as what I felt that night. And like I said, the animal, the creature, just moved away. Eventually moved away, and I noticed that it moved away because the reflections from trees and background. Sky in the distance and all that returned to the window. It was no longer blocked by that big, giant, enormous body that stood out there before.
I just want to point something out here, Steve.
And that
when you're watching him, you notice he still doesn't want to look out that bloody window when he just said that whole spiel. He's been looking this way for most of the whole interview or his whole thing, and all of a sudden he still does not want to look out that window. I just want to kind of point that.
He's there.
Yeah, totally. Like I don't want to do. I don't want to look up. I don't want to look out. I don't want to do anything. I want to mousify. The other thing I appreciate about what he's talking about too, it's like Joe. When I cornered Joe's story after talking to him and try to get him back to actually go back into the progression of the whole incident with him. And I said, Joe, what is it you're looking at? And he says, I don't know. And all of his vocabulary would make sense if you're seeing something you've never seen before, unless you've had big influence on the brain, influence online. You're not going to say Sasquatch. You're going to say what this guy's saying. That creature, the thing, the creature, that thing, that thing, that thing, that animal, that he's using every word he can to describe something he doesn't know. And the part of him doesn't want to know it anyways, because I get that whole thing, like, anyways, I just wanted to share that part. I just thought it was kind of, I mean, I'm empathetic to his situation, but I could see a lot of people doing the same thing. I don't want to look at that window. I don't want to go out there. No, I don't want to go out there. It's kind of like when he's sitting there looking up there like that. I thought of Jurassic Park when the kids are next to the into the car and the raptors looking over top and they're all like, looking up at him like, I don't look up there. Don't look up there. Don't look up there.
Don't look up.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to see this fear. I don't want to get any more afraid than I am. So anyway, sorry.
Light.
So Jerry was asking and playing devil's advocate, but what evidence that this is actually a Sasquatch? I believe the individual had a scary encounter, but what causes him to the conclusion of a Sasquatch encounter? Well, what else, is big and long-haired and stands on 2 feet, which obviously it's in front of his window. The car's been rocking and there's a huge hand that's 3 times the size of his.
In the window.
Yeah. To me, that's, enough corroboration and description that would fall into the classification of a Sasquatch. It's like if a hairy arm reached into your house, which was reported in Fouke, Arkansas. What makes that? What else has a hairy arm with a hand attached on the end of it, right? Without claws, like it's not a bear paw. It's not, it wasn't even the color of a bear, truthfully, because this was a gray and this was had grayish hair on it.
Right.
So this isn't really necessary, and long hair at that. So it's not even a descriptive of a bear, so that leaves very little, wiggle room for other animals. So just a description of it. And that's why.
I mean, the thing too is, if we're seasoned researchers, we want to go to a Sasquatch kind of thing. But he isn't a seasoned researcher. He's had something happen to him. And as people who've been in this for a few years, we need to understand that it's not our job to tell him what he saw. It's our job to help him understand what he's looking at. He'll eventually be able to do it because, for us who have heard stories like this before, it's got the same rhythmic flavor, which is I don't want to see what I'm looking at. I don't know how many people I talked to that have had experiences where they've said that I haven't led them with this conversation. They've said I tried to convince myself I didn't see what I saw.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's like for me, and I'm different than most of you guys out there. I don't know if there's a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot out there, and I'm the one who's claiming I think I saw something that looks like a Sasquatch on the back of a moose when I was younger. Remember the crazy guy? But what I think there's something out there, and what makes me think there's something out there is Joe's story, Jay's story, Jeff's story. Jeff always cries when it cuts to one point. Jay's story is always consistent. Joe's stories, when he puts his hands up and he goes, "Whoa, big boy," when he's right in front of that thing. And it's always precise. And it's our job is not to make this guy, the next savior for the Bigfoot community online parole. Our job is to assist him, to help him figure out what he needs to do at the level he needs to do it at, so he can not be hijacked like so many other people got hijacked because of the traumatic experience that they had. That's all I'll say about that. So I want to know I want to know what they are. I don't give a what people are telling me they are. Well, that's a Sasquatch. Show me. I don't know if that's a Sasquatch. I asked that with Joe. What is it? Could have been a Neanderthal? And he, to his credit, said maybe. And he was pretty knowledgeable about different types of man.
Right.
Like human ancestry people. I'm sorry, my brain's not working very well right now. Anyways, enough. I'll be quiet.
Whatever light was available from the sky returned to that window, and I did turn and looked, and there was nothing there anymore. And so eventually I did pick up the light and shined it in different all around the car, from inside the car. Obviously I didn't get out, but I shined it all around the car to see if I could see something. Maybe the creature was like standing out there or something, and I didn't see anything else from there. And
Okay, let me stop Jerry right there. This is not an anecdotal report. Let me correct Jerry on that point, is that an anecdote would be somebody saying, I heard there was a Bigfoot sighting here. That's anecdotal. This actually is direct evidence. In a court of law, this is direct evidence. This is eyewitness testimony, which is direct evidence. Anecdotal evidence is, well, I heard that there had been some Sasquatch sightings here, or somebody recalling, well, I heard this story of a miner who had a sighting. That's anecdotal. So please understand that we're our own worst enemies a lot of times. Anecdotal reports are secondhand stories. Direct evidence is the actual from the mouth of the person themselves.
as soon as that calmness returned back to me, that terrifying feeling went away, I started to be able to think again, and I immediately went for my weapon and I locked and loaded basically, and I spent a night of just watch. I was on watch the whole night, and I spent the whole night of just guard duty. But from there, nothing else happened. That was it. The sun.
His voice cracked there a little bit too, but
came up in the morning and nothing happened. I went outside the vehicle to look for tracks, maybe.
Mick, yes, he was sleeping in the car and he felt something kind of rocked the front of his car real quick, and he tried to go back to sleep, and then something moved the car from side to side briefly, and that's what woke him up. Got him up, and he looked, and that's when he saw it. So that's.
I want to take pictures of tracks. I want to take, some sort of evidence of what happened, and there was nothing outside. Not even my own tracks, though. That's the thing. The ground was too hard, and it was all just. I was parked right off the dirt road, so the whole entire road was just dirt. There was no moisture in the ground. It was all just hard packed, dry dirt. So there was nothing to leave a footprint in.
So he looked, but he didn't find them, and that's that's another question for the devil's advocate, which is all good.
And I went in different directions around the vehicle, including the hood, including in all directions to try to find something, and I couldn't find anything. I've tracked deer before, I've tracked elk before, and so I'm not unfamiliar with tracks or with tracking, but I couldn't find, other than disturbed ground, lines and scratches and scrapes and things like that.
And we got a couple of questions too. Shane says, "I wonder why he didn't start his car and leave." And Tom says, "Impressive. He stayed at the location till daylight." Number one, I think he didn't want to move. I think, and number two, that's his. If you hear him and watch his body language when he talks about being terrified, I think that goes in contrast to a lot of his beliefs in himself and his background of being, I'm this tough guy. And I think after it had peacefully left, you have that period of where your body starts to calm down. And now I think his curiosity got the best of him.
I think it's important to mention that, he did stay in that location for the rest of the night, but the rest of the night he was on guard duty.
Yeah.
So there was no more sleeping after that. And he's on guard duty, locked and loaded.
Yeah, and Jen asked, should there be prints on the car? Yeah, I agree. But we're already talking now. We're even after a few days, we don't know what the weather conditions were there,
Right.
rain or whatever. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't. You understand? We're not dealing with a researcher here. If somebody robbed
Right.
my car, I'd be like, okay, let's check the car for prints. Let's do
Yeah.
that. He did the very rudimentary thing that anyway, well, any foot, any tracks
Right.
around, and
Right.
no, okay, not thinking of the way we think, or mind you, you've had years of training in this, and that we look for stuff like that. We look for prints. We look for not only tracks, but we look for fingerprints and stuff like that.
Yeah, and not
But
only the macho ness of some of the people, hey, like it if something like that happened to 99% of us, we're gonna shit our pants. You're gonna be
yeah,
sitting there, well, how come you didn't do this and how come you didn't do that? Because I shit my pants. That's why I was shitting my pants. Do you remember me saying it was terrifying? That's because I shit my pants. Sorry, I hope you're not gonna get demonetized for this one. You can beep it out, I guess. But
yeah,
that idea that I've been in the bush, I've been stalked by grizzly. I've had a grizzly from here to this wall right here. It, I am still a little princess. I will still my pants. I will still not do the right things because my primal brain's going to kick in. Fight, flight, freeze, or friendship is going to do it. And that is not going to be anything that's cognitively available to me at the time. It's all primal. I'm going to be frozen. I'm going to be running like a little schoolgirl. I'm going to be fighting for my life.
yeah,
That's all going to be happening automatically. It's got nothing to do with the decision of a choice that you're going to be making. So,
Right.
like it- remember that this guy was nice enough to actually show up in chat listening
Yes.
to this story. So remember, instead of asking or firing all these questions, because we're here to help him down the road, time will let us know the rest of the story, hopefully. And that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for him to explain himself or all this
Oh,
kind of stuff. So
yeah. And even Tom
that not
Tom
at this.
Seberg said, I've interviewed witnesses in the past whom had similar incidents who also stayed until daylight. Others have gotten out as quickly. Well, it depends on the person, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
totally.
just on a humorous note, Pat Collins says, I'm at the age where Taco Bell and a sneeze can ruin the day.
Yeah,
well,
I hear you,
when you
brother.
think about it,
Yeah.
I think this guy is really intelligent. Okay, he's already said he didn't want to risk making eye contact with the creature because it's possible he could force a reaction, in which I think that's absolute genius. Okay, and that's true. You never want to make eye contact with a wild animal. You're gonna force some type of reaction. We don't know what kind of reaction that's going to be, but also if he had started his car and turned on the lights and got ready to leave, possibly that could have forced a reaction from the animal. And we're talking about an animal that could have easily taken one of those windows or probably even ripped the door off his car if he wanted to. So, I'm right there with him. I mean, I think he did the best thing he could do. Just waited out until daylight.
And Bristol, I didn't know about. Yeah, I'm not sure about how long. So, according to Bristol, says it's been said that potential Bigfoot print, the sebum stays around for ages. It's difficult to clear off. In case people wondering what the sebum is, that's the oils in the hands that make fingerprints, and they're also good for DNA as well. So yeah, you may have evidence if it touched your vehicle at all. I mean, obviously it rocked it, so it rocked it from somewhere. So. Um, you might want to get a fingerprint kit and start dusting that car. You might actually find a huge handprint on it. Could be some evidence to back up, or even possibly obtain DNA evidence through that. So there is that possibility, but we leave that to you, sir, to go on and forward that. Or you can always reach out and maybe we can send somebody down to you that in the area from where you are. I'm an East Coaster. Chris is a Southerner. Leon is Canadian. That's why he's got a vast array of hockey sticks behind him. And, um,
Oh man.
uh, but let's continue on.
Those were all around the vehicle. but nothing that I could photograph and say this is a track. I could not document anything like that. There was nothing there. So anyway, that's the story of what happened this past weekend. I packed everything up and I thought maybe this is
Again, Jerry, this is not anecdotal. Anecdotal is secondhand stories, not direct testimony. This is direct evidence, direct testimony, not anecdotal. So we shoot ourselves in the foot when we call it anecdotal when it's not. That's what the skeptics have ingrained into you, that these are just anecdotal stories. They're not. Anecdotal is brushing off eyewitness testimonies. When people saw the mountain gorillas before they were proven, nobody called those anecdotal. You understand? It's a bias, and that bias can drip in. Everybody has biases, the Bigfoot believers and the Bigfoot skeptics. The fact is, the anecdotal evidence and direct testimony, this is direct testimony. We are hearing directly from the eyewitness.
Are you
the
catching
sign from
Pat? Are you catching Pat Collins' comments over there, Leon?
Yeah, Leon with the
I'm not
Packers
going to put
hat
them
on.
up. Yeah, I'm not going to put up. Go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
to just leave, but I didn't leave. I didn't quite leave.
Witnesses like this have kept my interest going. Absolutely, Thomas. That's why I wanted to get out there. In fact, I had said that in an email to this gentleman, that it's stories like these that keep me going. Is that we hear so much contrived stuff over the years that when we get these little gems that are like you see a legitimate sighting or a legitimate encounter, that, man, that's what I want to I want to help validate this guy's sighting by getting the evidence, or at least passing the evidence off to science to prove it. So yeah, absolutely.
I guess call me stupid. I had another. Well, this wasn't an unusual incident, but
I kind of chuckle that when he says that, I didn't leave, I stayed a second night. He didn't stay at the same site though.
I had a stupid incident, which did convince me to eventually go home. But I went. I drove out of that area and I drove to a group campsite, not a group campsite, a big, large campsite, miles down the road. And I decided to spend another night out there because I didn't want to just come home with tail between my legs. And I camped out there, and bearing in mind the night before, I foolishly left some lights on inside the vehicle, thinking that it would deter any wild animal or creature or whatever from approaching the vehicle. Now, in this campsite, there were other campers. So I had a campsite to my left, I had a campsite to my right, I had campsites all around me, behind me, in other areas. I had a meadow in the front of me, so there were no campsites.
Yeah, no doubt, brother. I'm just having a little fun with you. Agreed. I probably, I probably would have stayed the night too, because I'm a researcher, and then actually because I'm a researcher, I probably would have stayed there the second night too. But that's okay. It's not your wheelhouse first time. We all get that. That's all good, brother. We wouldn't expect you to hang out there too much longer.
99% of the people would have been on the road as soon as they got to the driver's seat. That's it.
Yeah, and then the first stop they would have been afterward is the restroom to change their underwear.
Yeah.
So good job for not having to change your underwear.
Much respect. Yeah.
And you know what? I probably would have needed to change my underwear if I was that close. I mean, I've had two sightings. One was about 35, 50 feet away. The other one was about 100 feet away, maybe 125. Any closer, I probably, if I came face to face, or like just had like I was telling Chris last night when we were doing or the other night, because after we had talked about this, Chris and I had watched this video before we got permission to show it, so that's why we waited. That literally we understand that you were like inches close. I mean, there it is, right there in front of you, or maybe even there. That's not very far away. And to think that you had that much between you and it, yeah, that's pretty friggin' scary. I probably would have needed a change of underwear myself.
Campsites in the meadow, but on the other side of the meadow, there were again campsites. So there were probably about 10 or 15 campers, 10 campsites out there, and RVers that were out there with RVs. So this was, again, it was in the general area of where I seen the creature the night before.
Okay, so question is, where is this guy coming from? He's California, but he was in Oregon when this had occurred, Southern Oregon.
But it was miles and miles down the road from there, further up towards Bristlecone Pines. So if you've been in that area, it was just a couple miles down from the entrance to Bristlecone. Not the entrance, but to where Bristlecone Pines are. And I forget the campsite name, but yeah, I forget the name of it. But it was, again, it's a large campsite on that road. And nothing happened with animals or creatures or anything in that campsite. But again, I left some lights on, and unfortunately they drained my battery. So in the morning, I woke up to a dead battery, and I saw it as a sign from God, I guess, to just go home. You know, this is not your trip. I thought this is God telling you this is not a road trip for you. You need to go home, and you need to stop doing this shit. You know, I'm getting at an age where these things just aren't as easy as they used to be. And again, I saw it as a sign from God to say, hey, dumbass, go home. You know, you're not getting any younger. But I woke up to a dead car battery, and luckily I was... I shouldn't say that I woke up. Let me rephrase that. I didn't wake up to a dead car battery. I found out in the middle of the night that I had a dead car battery. When I sat there in the back of the car and I watched the movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's a fantastically funny comedy from the 80s. But I watched that on my phone. And I watched that, and at the end of that, I decided to go to sleep. And after I turned everything off, I noticed that I had forgotten to turn off the lights, which had been in the front section of the car behind the separator thing that I put up again. And I went, crap. And the first thing that I went and did is I went and pushed the button to try to start my car. And all I got was, and that's it. And the car was dead. And I thought, shit, this was the last thing that I needed out there in the middle of nowhere. Again, there were other campers around me, so I wasn't that freaked out. But I thought, imagine if this happened the night before, and I was stuck out there in the middle of nowhere with a dead car battery, and having to walk all the way out to Big Pine to try to get some help, or try to hitchhike my way into Big Pine, which probably nobody would stop to pick you up. But I thought, man, I'm just getting too old for this shit, and so I managed to get some help. Two guys from a couple of camps down from me happened to have cables, and they were absolutely gentlemen. And if they happen to be watching this video, you guys probably saved my ass. But they came and they gave me a jump start, and I was able to get my ass back home. But yeah, that's what happened. I cut my trip short, and so I don't have a lot of video to show you guys from all these fantastic places that I was going to stop at. I was going to stop at Owens River Gorge. I'm going to stop there. I wanted to stop at Mammoth to see the what do you call those volcanic columns. I don't know if you guys know about those. I wanted to stop at Crater Lake in Oregon, Mount Hood in Oregon. I was going to do a fly fishing video while I was out there. I know some fantastic spots to do some fly fishing up there, over by Welch's, Oregon, if you guys are familiar with that area. I wanted to go there. So yeah, I had a whole entire trip full of videos to make, and unfortunately that just didn't happen. So this is what you end up with. So this is the story, and I don't know, I might regret putting this online. I might regret telling it, but yeah, I think this is going to be one of the last times. I mean, I'll go fishing again, but I probably won't spend the night in the forest. I'll go out again, probably, but not by myself. I'm not going to go by myself. I'll go as a group maybe, but not by myself. I think this will be the last time that I go out there by myself and try to think that I'm as young as I used to be, and yeah. So throughout this entire video, I avoided using the B word, but I don't know. You tell me. What do you guys think? What do you guys think that was?
And there we have it.
Awesome encounter.
All right, I'm going to go to Leon with his thoughts. And you're muted, Leon.
I said that's probably why you guys didn't laugh, because he said, "What do you guys think it was?" I said, "I think that's my mother-in-law."
Well, we know it's not Mick's mother-in-law because she usually has or ex-mother-in-law, because she usually has a meatloaf under her arm.
Oh man.
Oh, I think the most frustrating thing is, this community, we wait for people, but we're not trained in being patient and knowing how to let people go through the process they have to go to. We want to get at the person's expense. We want to go and get the information out of them, and then we want to fire all these questions at them, and instead of just be patient. If there's something here, there's something here, and it's not going to help anybody. I mean, if somebody comes forward like this fella did, it's a great opportunity to hear what would happen to somebody, but don't take it to this, attack mode. I think a lot of us are so tired of just the BS that's out there. I mean, everything that's out right now, it's stuff we've seen 100 times, and it's always been proven to be garbage, right? So I don't know. I don't find him, other than I think it would be helpful for him down the road, if he's open to it, to re-explore it with some people that aren't afraid of the topic, so he can actually articulate his own story, so he can own it a bit better instead of it owning him. I mean, it was kind of cute. I'm sorry, I'm using the word cute for such a tough, rugged guy. 6'1", 300 pounds or 260 pounds, whatever he said. But when he's looking at that door there, I could just see being exactly like that too. It's like, I don't even want to look at that door. It's not even now, but I still I don't want to look at the window. I'm not going to look up top. I'm not going to look at any of that kind of stuff. And I mean, imagine like the picture here. Imagine waking up to that. Oh, there's something at the door. You turn around and that's there looking at you. Oh, yeah.
I just want to wake up. I want to wake up. I want to eat something. And instead, no, you got this thing shaking your car.
Yeah.
Looking for roadside service, apparently.
Yeah, 0.3 seconds, you are in fight or flight or freeze. I mean, you're primal, and you don't even know why you forgot your heart's going a mile a minute. Your brain's going a mile a minute, trying to negotiate what's going on there. But I think what would be helpful for
he definitely went into went into the fight mode rather than the flight mode, because his first reaction was to grab a weapon, which was the knife originally. And that way, if it came through, thinking it was a bear, he could slash at it. So obviously, that's his type of mode, is the fight mode. That's why he stayed that's why he stayed the night, kept watch. That's why the next day he didn't go home with his tail tucked, as he said. I want to go home with my tail tucked. He wanted to be around people because, and that's understandable.
Absolutely. After a traumatic experience like that, you need to be around people. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So what do you think we should offer? Like, what do you think would be helpful for him right now if he's still watching? What do you think would be some advice for him?
I did, just so you know, I did send him the link to the back room or to the chat or to
After
our
show.
video chat for after show. So once the stream ends, once you hear the outro, feel free to pop on in. If you choose to do so. I mean, obviously it's up to you. We're not going to grade you. We want to help you. And to me, the biggest thing he needs to understand is that he's not alone. That there are vast amount of people that will support him. That not everybody is going to believe you, but believe it or not, I have dealt with a lot of people that do not believe in Bigfoot, that are skeptical to it, and boy, do they get thrown off when I just turn around and say, "Well, I've seen 2 of them." What? That changes their whole mode of attack. Because something, oh, you don't believe in that? Well, I've seen 2 of them. Well, wait a minute, you have? Now all of a sudden they want to hear about that, and that's huge.
Yep.
Because now they've shown that they're not this biased skeptic. They're just doing what they've been pre-programmed to say. Because a lot of people will automatically be pre-programmed. I mean, remember, let's look at the UAP phenomenon, for example. I mean, 10 years ago, every time a reporter would, and you still see this with Bigfoot reports, oh, there was a Bigfoot sighting or there was a UFO sighting. And they start putting their eyes up, rolling their eyes a bit as if to, and that's a pre-programmed bias. And that's what a lot of people, and even Tom says, tell him he's not alone. He had a rare and, unique experience. Yeah, absolutely. And that's so good to get somebody like Thomas Steenberg looking at this video going, wow, that was, I believe the guy, and that's, you're not alone. And usually when you confront people with this, trigger biased reaction, they immediately stops them in their tracks because they don't expect you to say, well, I've seen one. What? And they know you. And if they know you, they know you're not a bullshit artist. That they're going to be like, really? Well, what did you see? Now, all of a sudden, you just open their door a little bit. And they may or may not believe you. They may turn around and say, well, I believe you saw something. I don't know if it was a Bigfoot or not. And that's generally how they'll put it. And that's fine. But the fact is that they're not looking at you as crazy. And believe it or not, there are people that tell stories. And as I was telling Leon and Chris earlier in the chat, I had another video of a guy that has really horrible body language.
I think
I ended up symbolically gifting that K-bar knife to the gentleman who helped me out the next day. Seemed appropriate. Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. That would be my advice. Don't shy away. Be strong in your conviction. And if they think you're crazy, then they're really not your friend, are they? Or they're really not.
Anytime this happens to some people, and this is not something that's going to happen every day, okay? But when this has happened to people in the past, it's very traumatic, and it doesn't matter how big, how tough, how strong of a guy you are. This is frightening and this is terrifying, and that's completely normal. There's nothing to be ashamed about, because you might there's some people, they'll say, well, if I was there, this is what I would have done. No.
You don't know what you're going to do till you're there.
Right, exactly. You don't know what you'll do and how you're going to feel unless or until it happens to you. And it's no shame to have been frightened by it, because this is a frightening thing.
Because the hippocampus takes over, correct, Leon?
Sure.
Well, the other thing too is it never, like he said, nothing bad happened, but it was scary as hell. And I think that's the key that people keep forgetting. That's what keep people in the trauma, the PTSD or the trauma of the event, is their brain keeps coming up. I could have been killed. I could have been killed. I don't know any Sasquatch sighting where anyone was killed by the Sasquatch. By
Right.
stupidity, yes, but not by a Sasquatch. Sasquatch seem to be curious about us, looking at us, like to goof around with us and stuff. So, I
And,
mean,
and
when
Tom Steenberg has a piece of advice for him too. Tom says, what other people think of your experience, it to you is irrelevant. You know what you experienced, and not the opinion of others matter. The opinion of others matters not. But I will say this, that you have 3 guys and probably a lot more right there in that chat
Yeah.
that are firmly in your corner, that understand, believe you, and will do anything to help you out. And that's the truth of that. And like I was saying earlier, if you have evidence on that car and you need it checked out, I am sure we can figure out somebody on the West Coast that's close to you that can get to your vehicle and take the proper measures forensically to extract whatever may be on that car. Mick's like, I'm 6'6", 340 pounds. I don't know if I don't want to run into you in a dark alley. You're a GD Sasquatch yourself.
All that meatloaf made him strong.
Well, we know that all that meatloaf probably gave him a very big bolstered immune system. But anyway, Chris, we have just about 6.5 minutes left to go of show. So it goes by quick. Well, I want to first of all thank our buddy Four Bandits for letting us use this. Hello, Christina. Welcome. For letting us use this video and letting us break this down to the audience. Like I said, these are the type of sighting encounters that keep us going, that keep keep our heart into it, because there's a lot of times we get a lot of crap stories.
Right.
This is not that case. This is a very authentic one, and it's excellent. But I want to thank Four Bandits for letting us use that video.
Yeah.
Thanks for popping in there and answering a few of our questions and answering the questions we had. That is awesome. And second, I want to thank Leon for popping in. It's been far too long for you being on the show. I'm glad to see you're in good health and doing well, and adding to the cabal of the Bigfoot research that we've been doing here.
Right.
And
You're welcome.
And we will forgive you. You're a Green Bay fan. We understand that.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I'm wearing Green Bay fan is because I have to shave my head to be part of the cult like you guys. So once that happens, I can join all 4 of us, and we can have a shrine with candles. Yeah.
Yeah, during the show, Leon has been getting poked a little bit by the chat room over here. So,
Yes.
I didn't put any of them up, but I just wanted to know if he'd caught them. Yeah, exactly.
And it's because it stands for giants, not what you're thinking. Because I'm from Canada, this means nothing to me other than giant Bigfoots. That's all it stands for.
Man.
Years ago, I worked for this company, and we had this kid running around, and he had a Green Bay hat on. And the HR manager used to be a sergeant major in the Army. So, and we used to share an office, my office, and we used to share the same office. Right? So this kid, we always had the office door open, and this kid popped in. And he said, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "You like my hat?" We all look at him. And we're just standing there looking at him. He goes, "Hey, you know what the G stands for?" And without missing a beat, the sergeant major turns around and says, "Yeah, get going." Which I thought was
great.
Yeah,
I really
get
feel
going.
loved here. I'm really feeling love right now. Thanks, guys.
But no, I think the G means great.
Oh yeah.
Get going. Great. Huh?
Yeah,
Did you
great,
say
get
go?
going? Great. Get out of here. Get go.
Goony goo goo.
Goony goo goo. But probably because Leon's Canadian, the G stands for goalie.
Where's the Bookwall boys? You're supposed to be defending me here in chat.
The Booker
Where's
boys
the
are not.
crew?
We ain't
Jerry,
getting. You're on your
Thomas,
own,
Tom.
Leon.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
you know, you're the ones who went on the show with the crazy Americans.
Yeah. And it's about
Yeah.
time too. I've been missing you, bud. It's good to see you again.
Amen.
And thank you for coming on with us tonight. It's been a real
was fun.
pleasure having you.
Chris, it's that time. Do your thing.
Yeah, I want to thank our guest that allowed us the use of this video to make the show. We really appreciate you, buddy, and 100% totally credible witness, the most credible encounter I've ever heard in my life. And you're welcome to come on with us after the show if you want to sit around and talk to us three guys. Sometimes it helps to talk about these things. I want to thank our audience for joining us tonight. We appreciate you guys, each and every one of you. Every time you tune in, it just makes my day. And if it's your first time watching or first time you've seen the show, consider subscribing. Hit that like button on the way out if you hadn't already hit it. We appreciate each and every one of you. I always say it because I always mean it. You guys are the greatest audience we could ever hope to have, and we know this show is only possible because of you. Thank you so much. And Steve, back to you, bud.
And thank you. There it is. And he appreciates all the kind commentary and the way we conducted the podcast. They'll be in touch. Just tonight's not the right time. That's okay.
Sure.
We
That's
get that. We reach out. Well, we'll say that we can set a private chat up on our same platform. That's the beauty of this thing.
Anytime. Right.
Anytime, anywhere, we'll be here for you. And, on behalf of me and everybody else, again, thanks for Bandits for piping in here. It's very important to hear your input as well. Thanks for letting us use the video, and thanks to our audience, great audience. Thanks to Leon for coming on tonight. And folks, we'll be back here Wednesday night for an all-new Squatch-D TV Live, 9 p.m. Eastern. And again, prayers go out to Floridians. Looks like Hurricane Milton is making a pass. And if you guys haven't had enough, here we go with another hurricane. And for all you folks down in Asheville, North Carolinas, in Asheville, guys, hang tough. We love you guys, and we're praying for you. Folks, we'll see y'all Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Catch y'all in a bit.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member, and it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.